Rain hammered against the windshield as Ethan gripped the steering wheel with trembling hands. His phone kept ringing, but he couldn't bring himself to answer it. The hospital was only 5 minutes away. 5 minutes? But somehow, it felt like the longest drive of his life. As he stopped at a red light, his eyes landed on something lying on the passenger seat, an old brown wallet with faded edges. It had belonged to his father, the same wallet his dad had carried every single day for nearly 30 years. Ethan slowly picked it up. The leather was cracked, worn out from years of hard work. Inside, there was almost no money, just an old family photo and a tiny folded piece of paper. His hands shook as he opened it. In his father's familiar handwriting, it read, "If you're reading this, it means I wasn't able to tell you everything myself. But before you judge the life I lived, please let me tell you my story." Ethan's heart sank. For years, he believed his father was cold, distant, and impossible to understand. A man who missed birthdays, missed baseball games, missed school graduations, a man who always said, maybe next time. Growing up, Ethan told himself one painful lie over and over again. If Dad loved me, he would have been there. He never knew that every next time his father promised had been stolen by another double shift, another unpaid bill, another sacrifice made quietly in the dark. The traffic light finally turned green. But Ethan didn't move. Tears blurred his vision as he looked at the note again. For the first time in his life, he wondered if he had misunderstood the man he called Dad. And he had no idea that what he was about to discover would change everything he believed about love forever. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment, and memories he had buried for years came rushing back. He was 8 years old, standing on the front porch with a brand new baseball glove in his hands. His father had promised, "Saturday afternoon, just you and me. We'll play until the sun goes down." Ethan counted the hours all week, but Saturday came, and his father never showed up. His mother quietly walked outside, wrapped a blanket around his shoulders, and whispered, "Dad had to work." Young Ethan threw the glove into the yard. "He always has to work," he shouted through tears. That night, when his father finally came home, his work boots were covered in mud and his hands were bleeding from lifting heavy steel all day. He walked into Ethan's room carrying a small chocolate bar. "I'm sorry, buddy," he said softly. "We'll play next Saturday." Ethan turned his face toward the wall. "I don't want your chocolate," he muttered. His father stood there in silence. Then he placed the chocolate on the bedside table, gently pulled the blanket over his son, and quietly left the room. What Ethan never saw was his father sitting alone in the kitchen later that night. He took off his cracked work gloves and stared at his swollen hands. There was barely enough money to pay the rent.